Welcome to Wildlife 3rd grade worksheet lesson number 7. And to start off, we're going to be using subtraction to find the difference. And again, number 1, we're going to be subtracting 5,239 and 2,484. And we're just going to subtract. So we do 9 minus 4 first, which gets us 5. 3 minus 8 is impossible, so we get over to the next one. But 2 minus 4 is impossible too. So then we have to move over to the next one, and we borrow 1 from this 5. This 5 becomes a 4. This 2 becomes 11, because we have to borrow 1 for this 3 right here, and this 3 becomes a 13. And now we can finally subtract, so we do 13 minus 8, which also gets us 5, 11 minus 4, which gets us 7, and 4 minus 2, which gets us 2. So our answer for number 1 is 2,755. For number 2, we're doing the same thing. We have 5 minus 0, which gets us 5, 4 minus 4, which gets us 0, 2 minus 8 is impossible, so we have to borrow 1 from this 1. This 1 becomes a 0, and this 2 becomes a 12. And then we do 12 minus 8, which gets us 4. And so our answer for number 2 is 405. Moving on to the other side, we're doing the same thing, but this time we're going to be doing money instead. And we have $18.35 minus $15.79. And the easiest way to do this is just do regular subtraction, but we just bring down the little dot beforehand to separate the cents and the dollar. And so looking at our problem, 5 minus 9 is impossible, so we move to here. 3 minus 7 is impossible, but 8 minus 5 is possible. So we can borrow 1 from this 8. This 8 becomes a 7. This 3 becomes a 12, because we have to borrow 1 more to make for 5. And then this 5 becomes a 15. So now we can subtract. 15 minus 9 gets us 6. 12 minus 7 gets us 5. 7 minus 5 gets us 2, and 1 minus 1 gets us 0. And so our answer for number 1 is $2.56. And so, moving on to our next problem, with number 7, we have $36.90 and $32.47. And so, looking at this problem, 0 minus 7 is impossible, so we have to borrow 1 from this 9. This 9 becomes 8, and then the 0 becomes a 10. And then we subtract. So 10 minus 7 gets us 3. 8 minus 4 gets us 4. 6 minus 2 gets us 4. And 3 minus 3 gets us 0. So our answer for number 7 is $4.43. For this next page, we'll be writing less than, greater than, or equal to for each missing sign. And so, since we're comparing each side, we first have to do 836 minus 160. So let me write it out over here. Minus 160. So we subtract it. 6 minus 0 gets us 6. 3 minus 6 is impossible, so we borrow 1 from this. 7, 13. 13 minus 6 gets us 7. And 7 minus 6 gets us 6. And so for this first side, we have 676. We have to do the same for the other side. So we do 390 minus 246. 0 minus 6 is impossible, so we borrow 1 from this 9, making it an 8, and the 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 4, 6 gets us 4. 8 minus 4 gets us 4 again, and 8 minus 6 gets us 6. So we have 676 on one side and 644 on this side. And so we know that 676 is greater than 644, so we put greater than. For number 2, we're doing the same thing here again. So we have 135 minus 90 and 235 minus 69. So we subtract them. 5 minus 0 is 5. 3 minus 9 is impossible, so we borrow 1. This becomes 0. This becomes 13. 13 minus 9 gets us 4. So we have 45 on this side. And then over on this side, 5 minus 9 is impossible. Then we go to the next side. 3 minus 6 is impossible too. So we borrow 1 from this 2. This 2 becomes a 1. This 3 becomes a 12. And this 5 becomes a 15. 15 minus 9 gets us 6. 12 minus 6 gets us 6. And we bring down the 1. And we get 166. And so, obviously 45 is less than 166, so for a sign, we put less than. And for our last example on this page, we're just going to be subtracting once again. And we have 190 minus 35, and then 563 minus 356. So we subtract. 0 minus 5 is impossible, so we borrow 1 from this 9. Becomes an 8, becomes a 10. 10 minus 5 gets us 5. 8 minus 3 gets us 5. And 1 minus 0 gets us 1. So we have 155 on this side. Over here on this side, we're doing the same thing. 6 minus 5 is impossible. 3 minus 6 is impossible, so we have to borrow from this 6. This 6 becomes a 5, and this 3 becomes a 13. 13 minus 6 gets us 7. 5 minus 5 gets us 0. And 5 minus 3 gets us 2. So we have 207 on this side, and we know that 155 is less than 207, so we put less than. Move on to our third page. We're using subtraction to find the missing number. And for number 1, we have $52.56 minus blank gets us $24.50. Basically, the way we find the missing number is to subtract the remainder, or we subtract our number right here. So we do $52.56 minus $24.50. So our difference minus the money we already know. So $6 minus 0 gets us 6. 5 minus 5 gets us 0. 2 minus 4 is impossible, so we borrow 1. This becomes a 4, this becomes a 12. 12 minus 4 gets us 8, and 4 minus 2 gets us 2. So our answer for number 1 is $28.06. For number 2, we're doing the same thing as we're going to be subtracting the difference from the number it gives us in the very beginning. So we do $23.89 minus $13.54. So we subtract. 9 minus 4 gets us 5. 8 minus 5 gets us 3. 3 minus 3 gets us 0. And 2 minus 1 gets us 1. And so our missing number is $10.35. Over on this other side, we have 1,389 plus blank equals 8,901. And so instead of subtracting by the difference this time, which would give us a negative number, we're going to be subtracting the difference with the given number in the very beginning. So this time we do 8,901 minus 1,389. So looking at this, 1 minus 9 is impossible, and 0 minus 8 is impossible, so we have to borrow 1 from this 9 right here. This 9 becomes an 8, this 0 becomes a 9, and this 1 becomes an 11. So 11 minus 9 gets us 2, 9 minus 8 gets us 1, 8 minus 3 gets us 5, and 8 minus 1 gets us 7. And so our missing number is 7,512. And for our last example on this page, we're doing the same thing we did for number 7. And so we're subtracting 9,836 from 10,235. And so 5 minus 6 is impossible, so we have to borrow from this 3. This 3 becomes a 2. This 5 becomes a 15. 15 minus 6 gets us 9. But now 2 can't be subtracted by 3, so we have to go over again. So 9 minus 8 is impossible, so we have to do, 2 minus 8 is impossible, so we have to borrow from this 10. This 10 becomes 9, this 2 becomes an 11, and this 2 right here becomes a 12. So 12 minus 3 gets us 9, and 11 minus 8 gets us 3. And 9 minus 9 gets us 0. So our answer for number 8 is 899, or 399. And lastly, for our word problems, Irene's class went to an amusement park. Irene took $50. He paid $26.25 for the ticket and $7.39 for a t-shirt. Does he have enough money to buy a bottle of apple juice that costs $33.50? So to solve this problem, we know that he had $50 in the very beginning, and he spent $26 to get a ticket, $26.25, and he spent $7.39 up for a t-shirt, and we need to know if he has $3.50 left. So we can just subtract. And obviously 0 minus 0 minus 0 is impossible. But the easier way to do this, we're just gonna, let me erase the 7 of 39 first, so it's easier to subtract. So we just do this first. 0 minus 5 is impossible, 0 minus 2 is impossible, 0 minus 6 is impossible. So we have to borrow 1 for this 5 right here. This 5 becomes a 4. This 0 becomes a 9. This also becomes a 9, and this becomes a 10. 10 minus 5 gets us 5. 9 minus 2 gets us 7. 9 minus 6 gets us 3. And 4 minus 2 gets us 2. And so as of right now, we have $23.75. And since he spent $7.39 for a t-shirt, we can also subtract that. And so we have 5 minus 9 is impossible, so we borrow from this 7. This 7 becomes a 6, and this 5 becomes a 15. 15 minus 9 is a 6. 6 minus 3 is 3. 3 minus 7 is impossible, so we borrow 1 from this 2. This becomes a 1, this becomes a 13. 13 minus 7 gets us 6, and 1 minus 0 gets us 1. So we know that he has $16.36 left, and all he just wants to buy a water apple juice that costs $3.50. And so for number 1, our answer is yes. Lastly, for number 2, the hotel was built 4 years before the stadium was built. The stadium was built in 2002. How old was the hotel in 2011? And so we know that the hotel was built 4 years before the stadium was built, which was built in 2002, meaning that the stadium was built 4 years before, so we subtract 4, which gets us 1998. And since it's asking how old was the hotel in 2011, we're going to do 2011 minus 1998. And so 1 minus 8 is impossible, 1 minus 9 is impossible, 0 minus 9 is impossible, so we borrow 1 from this 2. This 2 becomes a 1, this becomes a 9, a 10, and an 11. 11 minus 8 is 3, 10 minus 9 is 1, and 9 minus 0 is 0, and 1 minus 1 is 0. And so our answer is 13 years old.